Hello and welcome to the Caring Matters podcast. I'm Liz Tassone, the volunteer host, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about if you're becoming a new caregiver. And maybe you were home for the holidays and you noticed some changes in your parent or your aunt that you hadn't seen before and you're not sure where to go. And so maybe this is that beginning point where you begin to say, what do I need to do now? What can I begin with? Oftentimes caregiving begins very gradually. So you just begin to notice changes. And maybe it begins with just once a week phone calls that you're calling to check up on mom. But it also, for some caregivers, it can be an immediate onset, like a stroke or something, a debilitating disease, a fall, and so your caregiving comes on very quickly. So this is something to keep in mind. If you can even do this now, even though you have healthy parents or whatever, to just begin that process of gathering information. And I would say begin with a notebook or a folder where you begin to just collect information. That kind of information would be who's their doctor, what's their preferred hospital. And if you can begin the conversations about advance directives or things about what they would like in the end of life care, that's a really important thing to kind of tuck away so that you're aware of those conversations and to actually take notes about that. I used to do a radio program, and one of the things we would say to help start that conversation is for you to say to your loved one, hey, I heard something on the radio the other day, and it was about this woman's talking to her mom about what her mom wants in her final days. Does she want everything that can be possibly done to keep her alive, or does she have some thoughts about that? So those conversations are really important to have so that if you are in a crisis situation, you can make those difficult decisions with a little more peace of mind. And if you do have those conversations, begin taking notes when you get home from those, and just saying that, talk to mom today about this, here's what she said. Because especially if you have siblings and these are decisions that you're going to make jointly, sometimes a real difference of opinions come up around that. And so if you've taken notes and really been attentive to that, you've got something to refer back to. So first thing I would recommend is get a notebook or folder that you are going to begin keeping information in. I found a couple of good supports. One was a little thing, a checklist for new caregivers, and I've used that information in this as well. And something from a website, agis.com, and it was really helpful with different things. You can download a checklist and so on. So those are two information sources that you may want to look into. So these questions are questions that you can begin to have conversations about. And again, if you keep these kind of checklists in your folder, then as you have the conversations with your mom or dad, and you can begin to kind of record them, and so you have a beginning point. One of the important things is just, like I said, knowing their wishes as they age. Where do they always want to live in their own home? Most people would say yes, but what are some of the issues around that, and just getting that conversation started so that you can know their wishes. So what are your loved ones' wishes? That's one of the questions you need to start knowing. Do you know where the important documents are? So do you know your parents' doctors? Do you know the banks? Do they have a will that they've given you a copy of? So who has that kind of information? These are important things. And again, it's about not needing to do crisis management, but instead being a little proactive with this information. So as long as one of the siblings is aware, not all of you would need to have all that information, but as long as you know who does have it, that would be important too. The other thing is to know who else can help you if you do need help with caregiving. Who else is available? Siblings, neighbors, relatives, nieces and nephews of your mom and dad. like to be part of that sometimes. And the other thing that you might want to jot in your notebook is, what do you do to take care of yourself? And what are the things that you find solace in, so that if you are in a crisis or you are in a tough situation, that you even can remind yourself, oh yeah, I like to do puzzles. Maybe I'll get a puzzle out today. Or I like to listen to this CD, really calms me down. And maybe to just remind yourself of some of the things you like to do as well in your notebook. So you begin to, maybe you've noticed some things, start connecting with area agencies that can help you. If your loved one is far away in another city, you can do some research on the internet and find out what information, what area agencies are there to help in their area. And you can also, sometimes a lot of people that don't have a direct connection down there can hire a caregiver or care manager in that city who is aware of all the agencies and so on that can help your parent. That can be a real lifesaver if you have an advocate in that city that can help you. So as you begin that, and maybe looking at facilities, having the conversation about, would mom and dad ever want, if you're long distance from them, would they ever consider coming to live near you? Or would you ever consider moving there? Just some good conversations to have. And it's always good to have these conversations, again, before it's a critical conversation, before it has to be made in a fast way. If you've already had the conversation, if you've already been thinking about those things, it makes things go a lot easier. So I know these are tough conversations to have with your parent, but if you do it little by little, and you keep a notebook and you keep some information, I think that's helpful. The other thing that you want to arm yourself with any medical conditions that your parents have, is to arm yourself with information. If it's Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's, to get online and begin to really research those diseases and to understand them, and share that information with your loved one if they're interested in that. Not everybody wants to know all the things about their disease, and to respect that as well. But for yourself, if that's something that would help you cope, I think especially in the area of Alzheimer's disease or dementia, for a caregiver to be informed about the process of the disease is just very critical, because otherwise they're going to be reacting to things that they might think are intentional when in fact they're part of the disease. And so that gives you, that information is really helpful as you begin to interact with someone with dementia. So there's some great things out there, checklists for new caregivers. Most of the stuff I've gone over with you, and to just be aware of support that's out there. Here in Cincinnati, we have lots of caregiver support groups that are available to folks, and you can always sign up for one of them and meet once a month with other caregivers who are doing the work as well. It's just great to know there's lots of people out there doing this work, and lots of help if you're looking for it. So I just want to say have a wonderful new year from the Caregivers Assistance Network. And I want to also notice that we've got some sponsors that really help to keep this podcast on the air, and I want to thank them as well. Vitas Hospice, Hillebrand Home Health, Home Care by Blackstone, Family Bridges Home Care, Lifespan, and Bailey. So thank you to them, and Happy New Year.